Hello, my friends, and welcome to today's episode. Today, I'm sharing 10 ways that I am trying to combat my own cynicism. We're going to talk through it, and we're going to be in this space together, navigating what I think is a very challenging time for most physicians and healthcare professionals. So, right now, as I'm recording this in mid February of 2025, we are essentially just a month in to a very difficult transition in our government in the United States. And I don't really need to belabor it. I don't mean to dwell on really the politics of it, but I think that we can acknowledge that there is truly unprecedented change going on right now. And whether you lean towards the left or the right, or liberal or conservative or Republican or Democrat, I will say that some of the things that are currently being eliminated, slashed, um, actively investigated and rooted out are things that most of us as physicians hold to be sacred. And I think, unfortunately, that is going to get worse and not better in the near future. So I'm going to invite you, if you strongly, strongly disagree with what I just said, that this is probably not the space for you. We are not going to do a deep dive into the politics here. That's not my jam. That's not what I consider myself to be expert in. But what I want to talk about, what I want to focus on, is related to burnout. It's a part of burnout, and it's something that feels pretty rife and strong in my world right now. And so we're going to dive into that. All right. How do we get started? So, I've been dragging my feet on this one, as happens sometimes, because I've been struggling. I've been struggling with trying to stay informed of what's happened during the day when I'm busy taking care of patients, or what's happened overnight, trying to not stick my head in the sand and yet to take care of myself. Now, of course, there's the whole political situation, which is one thing. There are all the uncertainties that are afoot because of decisions that are being made in Washington, D.C. right now, in terms of patients that I have who work for the VA who are uncertain if they're going to keep their jobs. My husband, who does research and has NIH grants, again, all that's been put on hold. So there's a lot of uncertainty, which has created instability. Um, the wildfires in the Los Angeles area, which were so devastating, of course, the fires are out, but we know that those communities are suffering. We know of the ongoing wars that are present. There is a lot going on in the world right now that is very, very challenging. On the home front, we've had some challenges as well, as all people do from time to time. And I find myself in this space again of cynicism. And if we look at the definition of burnout, burnout has three hallmark characteristics, one of which is cynicism, another which is emotional exhaustion, and the third of which is a sense of futility, a sense that nothing you do makes a difference. We can look at that from the medical perspective, in that when we are constantly on the front lines taking care of patients, when we are seeing them at their sickest, when we are seeing them worried, scared, irritable, all of the states of human, right, that show up in our clinics and our hospitals and our emergency rooms, wherever else you might take care of people, right? We know the challenge of doing that. We know the challenge of doing that in a broken healthcare system that has a weird distribution of inequities. We know that challenge, right? And then there can be other places where burnout pops up. That can be in the home with all the challenges and responsibilities that you face, whether you're a parent, whether you're a caregiver for a loved one. You might be a dog mom. There are a number of things that can go on in your home as well that can contribute to burnout. But today we're really tapping into cynicism because I think for myself, that is what I'm noticing is more flared up right now in me. And as I've been thinking about what does my community need? What do I want to share with people? How do I want to help people as they are navigating challenges? I'm also in this space of trying to help myself, right? Because like you, I go to work, I take care of patients, right? I come home, I have my home responsibilities, right? We're all in this together. And as I have gone through some of those things, I realize that I really need to step up my self care in particular ways that I haven't had to think about it for a while because I haven't been in this place of cynicism for a while. Not to say that we don't dabble here and there, right? Because cynicism is a normal human emotion that all of us will feel from time to time, but being in more of a chronic state of it is a little bit different. Just like you can feel overwhelmed in a moment, but you can also feel overwhelmed for weeks or months at a time, right? So we're talking more about that bigger state of the emotion, not the sort of transient sensation of it. So I've come up with a list of 10 ways that I'm trying to intentionally prevent and or treat my cynicism. And I'd like to share that with you and invite you to have an opportunity to do some of this work on your own. I would recommend this is one of those episodes where, grab a pen and paper, grab your phone and take some notes. Do some thinking as we move through the list and record for yourself what is important to you. I'm going to touch on some themes, but you might write down particular ideas, particular struggles, particular challenges that you have and how you are going to use this list rather in order to help yourself. All right, these are in not really any particular order, so don't assume that we need to rank them in order of importance. I just wanted to create a simple list. And as a recovering perfectionist, I didn't think too hard about what order to go in. So here we are. Number 1, take breaks. Now, as I was thinking about this, in a few different ways. One, I was thinking I need to take a break sometimes from listening to or reading the news, in that there are certain spaces where I traditionally would listen to NPR, for example, on my drive to or from work. And I'm finding myself that sometimes I need to not listen to it. Now, my intention there is not to stick my head in the sand and not be uninformed, nothing like that, but just to say, especially the other day, this was very clear to me. I was driving to work and I said, you know what? Where I am today, how I'm feeling right now, I don't actually want to listen to more things coming down. And so I just didn't listen to anything, actually. I decided that what I really wanted was silence. I have a pretty short commute, which I'm incredibly grateful for. It's only about maybe 10 minutes. And I just decided to have silence, right? That is me actively practicing taking a break, specifically from the news, but also just recognizing that I needed some quiet in my day right then and there. So that is one form of taking a break. Another form of taking a break might be you might need to excuse yourself for a few minutes, or maybe you park the car and you don't go into the house for a few minutes, but you take a very intentional little break that you do something that ends up being net positive in your life, right? And especially in your feelings. So I'm going to give you a silly example, right? You might decide, you know what, when I'm pretty stressed out and angry, I'm going to take a few minutes and do some deep breathing. I'm going to take a few minutes. I'm going to literally take 2 minutes. I might set a timer and I'm going to watch stupid cat videos on my phone because that makes me giggle. It makes me feel good. Now, I'm not doing that to procrastinate, right? If you tend to procrastinate and put things off and not attend to them, or you know you've got a pile of notes and you pull out your phone and you start looking at cat videos and suddenly it's 3 hours later. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is taking a small little break of time to do something for yourself that is net positive. So again, set a timer, decide you're intentionally going for something that is going to bring you, joy, laughter, delight, whatever it is, as a break before you go back to something that you need to do, something that has to happen like the rest of your clinic day or the rest of the hospital patients that you're rounding on, dealing with bedtime, like whatever it is. Take a little break. What is that going to look like? Where do you need those breaks? What will you do that is net positive in those breaks? Number 2, focus on the fundamental basics. We've talked about this before. We need to be sleeping. We need to be feeding ourselves. We need to be feeding ourselves, in particular, I would say healthy food, right? Not just donuts and coffee. That doesn't work for very long. And we need to be watering ourselves. Now, the reason I say this, we have all experienced sleep deprivation, hunger, dehydration. I'd love for somebody to do a study about how many physicians have kidney stones and recurrent bladder infections from not drinking enough water and going to the bathroom enough. I know that has come up in some of my patients who have been bus drivers, right, where it's difficult to access a bathroom. No one's going to fund that study, but here we are. We need to take care of our basic needs, especially when we are in a period of great cynicism. And, if you want to substitute other words, if there's some other word that makes more sense to you, cynicism and overwhelm, for example, are not the same, but you might find that you're in more of a state of overwhelm, more of a state of frustration. I invite you to use whatever word makes sense, but we need to focus on those basic human needs and getting as much sleep, as much healthy food, as much water as you need. All right, what's next? Number 3, connect with loved ones. Now, you know who your loved ones are, and this is different from just connecting with people. Connecting with people who already are in your life, who are important to you, that you love, setting intentional time with them, right? Inviting them to share specific time, put away your phone, be in community with them, right? So you're talking, you're walking together, like whatever it is, but be present with them, right? And feel that connection. I was just chatting with one of my clients earlier who, had made some decisions and she was kind of wrestling in her head about it, but she had had 2 long conversations with friends that she hadn't spoken to for a while. And she was feeling a little bit guilty because it had led her to not getting some of her work done. But I had to look at her and ask, do you regret spending that time right now with people who are important to you? And she said, no, I don't. Hold that, right? Hold that connection is important. And yes, you might be surrounded by people all day, right? Patients, staff, whoever, colleagues. That is not the same as connecting with your loved ones. Number 4, actively seek out fun or delight. I'm going to throw another one in here, which is awe. Awe is another emotion that has tremendous sort of transformative effects. Awe is this odd thing. There's books written about it where it is something that sort of, the definition invokes like some fear, and it's usually a sense of something that's either very vast and large, like the starry sky, or something that's incredibly small, like looking at a tiny snail moving by. That's more of a dialogue on awe than I intended, but what delights you? What is fun? And what can you engage with, even in little bits, that will help to add some goodness to your life? I have had it on my vision board, on the, intentions for the year that I have set to participate in aerial yoga. There's some aerial yoga studios that are close to my house. I'd always wanted to do it. It sounded fun. I've been to shows where they do aerial acrobatics. Not going to be doing that anytime soon. But I thought, oh, that looks so fun. And all last year I didn't get around to it. As we were starting to get into this period of difficulty this year, I said, you know what? Now is the time. I'm going to make the time and space because that looks like something that is fun. It looks like something that is healing and restorative. And I have loved doing it, even though I've joked to my friends, it's a little bit uncomfortable, quite frankly, because as you can imagine, thinking when you had a child body and how different that feels as a child body to lay on the floor and maybe sleep on the floor, as opposed to having an adult body and trying to sleep on the floor. They are different sensations. And similarly, um, twisting yourself up in these amazing silks that are suspended from the ceiling and then wrapping yourself up in such a way that you can flip yourself upside down, there's some discomfort there, my friends. It was a little challenging. I'm not going to lie, but it was also delightful to be able to do something that was so different, and it was so peaceful and healing to lay suspended in these silks in the shavasana, the sort of ending pose where you're still like a corpse, to be hanging in this cocoon of silk and just feel like you're being hugged. So I'm so glad that I signed up for that. I invite you to find what is your version of that you would find fun, delightful, engaging. Go do that. Treat yourself to that, even if there's just some small little version that you can do right now. All right, number 5, sit in your value. This is really challenging for so many of us, but let me tell you a little bit of what I mean. And if this is the first time you're hearing me say that, this is episode 164. I invite you to go back to probably, 10 episodes where we've talked about really feeling connected to your value. So definitely flip yourself back through past episodes and find. But what I mean by this is allow yourself to believe in your own goodness, in your own worth. And we can look at that from our professional credits, if you will, our professional persona. And we can say, listen, I am an excellent physician. I take excellent care of my patients. I am compassionate. I am thoughtful. I am knowledgeable. I have excellent skills. Now, yes, we all make mistakes. Yes, outcomes are not always perfect. Yes, sometimes people don't listen to us or don't trust us. All of those things happen, and yet I can still sit in the value of the care that I provide. That is one element of this. Another element is just allowing yourself to believe that you're a good human. And this sounds so silly to say out loud, but I know so many women physicians who walk around feeling like they are not worthy, like they haven't proven themselves. And guys, me too, right? There is a lot of us, there are too many of us who have grown up with this stance of not feeling good enough. And we always thought we would feel better once we accomplished X, Y, or Z thing. We need to start practicing believing in our value and goodness now. Now, one version of this is to accept compliments, to really allow people to say kind things to you, to allow the words and the gratitude to come into your body and really feel it. So one way that I practice this is that one of my patients says something nice to me and that or they thank me or something, is I actually sit back a little bit and I actually kind of put my hand on my chest and I say thank you so much. I'm going to really feel that. I'm going to like really let that in. And it's just a little shift in practice, but it forces me to pause a little bit and to be open to receiving the gratitude. When we're feeling really cynical, right, we are so apt to just bounce that person's gratitude right off. When we are feeling not worthy, we are inclined to not believe the person, to think, oh, they're just saying that to be nice. Oh, they feel like they have to say that. Both of these states are harmful. We need to allow other people's gratitude to come in and sit in the value that we offer as human beings, as professionals. We need to make space for that. I'm going to share something that I shared this evening with the group, which is that there's this idea that when someone takes the time to give us a compliment, to say something nice, to express their gratitude towards us, when we are not willing or able to receive the gratitude, there's actually a little bit of rudeness there. We think we're being humble, but I loved hearing this idea that we are actually reflecting back to them that their gratitude is misplaced in some way, that it's not okay, that um, that it's not worthy when we are just bouncing it back, that it's too little to be noticed. And I love thinking about it this way because for people pleasers, if we start to believe that not accepting a compliment is actually a little bit harmful or insulting to the person who is taking the time to express the gratitude towards us, that's a little window in. That's a little foot in the door, right? To be able to start to accept, even if we're coming at it from the place of, oh, I don't want to disappoint that person. I hope you see what I'm talking about there. Allow yourself to believe the kind things that people say about you. And again, if we're just going to do that just so that we start to, combat some of the cynicism that we're feeling, I'll take it. It's a place to start. All right, number 6. Same word, very different intention or meaning. Be clear on your values and be clear on how important those values are to you and how they connect to the things, the choices, the situations that come up every day. When we are very clear on what's important to us, what we are not willing to compromise on, what our core values are, that will help us to guide decisions in the face of change, disruption, uncertainty. When you are clear on what is important, and that might be, a core value that you hold, it might be what's important in this particular situation or in this particular setting, that will be your guiding light to helping you in the tough times. So when we are clear on what we will not compromise on, that gives us a really powerful tool that ultimately, like I said, makes it really clear what to do in a particular situation. And our values can change over time. I don't want to suggest that once we've decided what our core values are, that they're fixed and they can never be changed. But when you're clear on what your core values are and you use them to guide your decisions, you are staying in integrity with yourself. And that, my friends, is going to be so important. One of the things that I'm really struggling with right now is that there's so much what feels like to me collusion going on. And when people are not willing to stand up and say, you have gone too far, you do not have the authority or the power to do that, their silence, to me, is a compromise of their values. Now, I am not them. They are not me. Obviously, we all have different values, different decisions that we are making. And I don't know all the particulars of all the people in all the places, right? I try and think for myself, what would I do in this circumstance? And I let my values guide me. And I know that not everyone is going to have that. But when you are very clear on who you are, what is important to you, and you hold on to that even when you are feeling cynical and worried and fearful and anxious, this will be an important guiding light for you. Number 7, find safe spaces. Now, I'm going to share, because I feel compelled to, that Unbound, Women Physicians Reclaiming Their Lives, has become such an important safe space for women physicians to come together and share their struggles, share their thoughts, share their feelings. And I am so incredibly grateful to have this group as a place for myself and women physicians to come and be able to feel like we are in community and we are supporting each other. Now, the next round of Unbound is going to be starting March 2nd, which is coming up pretty soon, Sunday, March 2nd. And so if you are a woman physician, MD, DO, or MBBS, I invite you to come and check it out. You'll see the link in the show notes. Women physicians working together, being in a safe space, being in community, making changes together, working on habits, working on letting go of people pleasing and perfectionism, working on setting and maintaining boundaries. It is magic. And I'm so incredibly grateful to the women physicians who are currently in the program. You know where you have safe spaces, and I hope that you have enough safe spaces that you feel that you can be connected. But if you don't, and you are a women physician, come join us. If you have your safe spaces, know where those are, know who are your safe people, and make sure that you're connecting with them. It is so important for ourselves in this time, right? When you are feeling cynicism, when you are feeling overwhelmed, you need to know who you can connect with, who you can talk to, who you can be yourself with. It's critical. Number 8, be kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself. Again, as people pleasers, as perfectionists, as people who struggle with boundaries, we often have this double arrow where we feel an emotion like cynicism, and then we have a second arrow, which is our shame or self-judgment for having cynicism, right? If you are a parent and you have been angry at your child and acted out of anger, let's say you yelled at them, right? And then later you start beating yourself up because you yelled at them, and how dare you yell at your child when you love this child and you said you would never do it. That is the double arrow, right, that we are talking about. And when we are experiencing a difficult period of time, cynicism, overwhelm, frustration, resentment, right, when we're highly anxious, it is so important that we start to change our inner dialogue and be kind to ourselves, to recognize, you know what? Cynicism is a normal human emotion. It is a normal human reaction that all humans experience from time to time. I'm not a terrible person for feeling this way. And I also can recognize that I am having this difficult emotion and I am going to go take care of myself. I don't have to blame myself for feeling this way. Do you see that there is an important difference here of proactively working against the second arrow? We can't always prevent the difficult emotions. We're humans. We are going to have the full range of human emotions. And I don't think that really we would have complete lives if we never encountered some of these difficult emotions, right? If you never felt angry, never felt fearful or anxious or worried or cynical, I don't know who has that kind of life. We can do our best to recognize our emotions, to take care of ourselves through the difficult emotions, but we will do our best when we are being kind to ourselves. All right, I'm going to move on because I could talk about that for a really long time. Number 9, pay attention to your batteries. That could be your people batteries. That could be your bandwidth batteries. That could be your just energy batteries. I know for me, I am going to bed earlier. I am sleeping more. I am taking breaks from people, right? And getting more quiet time because that is what I need. And I'm not always perfect about noticing where my battery levels are at, but I'm getting better at it. And I think you can too. When you are just so cranky, right? Irritable, cynical, sarcastic, right? Notice what's going on and notice what you need and start working on it, right? This links into focusing on the fundamentals, but this is the more noticing and deciding to do something different than the active, focusing on. They're related and they're different. All right, number 10. Now, number 10, I want you to listen to me because when you're feeling cynical, it's going to flare you up. I want you to be kind to someone else. Now, what do I mean by that? So you might hear that, especially when you're deep in your cynicism, and you might say, what do you mean be kind to someone? I'm nice to people all the time. I help people all the time. That's what I do. That's what we do. Don't be an idiot. I hear you, cynicism. And what I mean is different, right? Because we help people, we listen to people, we evaluate people, we treat people, right? We do a lot of things. And, our work is very people focused. People generally, hopefully, see us as kind hearted human beings who are serving humanity in a very distinct way. That's different from being kind to someone, though. Actively doing something kind takes some thought, and it's a different beast. So I want you to hear me when I say be kind to someone, and I want you to think of something you've done in the past several weeks, or maybe you can think of someone who has been kind to you. Maybe somebody came by your desk and brought you a fresh, hot cup of coffee, right? They took the moment to be kind to you. Maybe someone saw you struggling with a whole bunch of things in your hand, right? And held a door or took some things off of you, right? Same way, you can do something kind for someone else. You can let somebody get in front of you in traffic, right? Who's trying to merge. There are little things that you can do. And when we actively do something kind for someone else, we actually get as much of a boost as they do. We don't control what they feel. We don't control whether they notice. What we do control is the positive emotion that we generate for ourselves when we are kind to someone. There's positive psychology that shows this. I think the studies are pretty interesting, but I just want you to go with me and just know that it's true. You can probably tell me 10 different instances without even thinking about it of places where you have been kind to people at work and not at work, and how that landed on you, how it made you feel. So here I'm asking you to put that in your anti-cynicism plan and intentionally be kind to people. Maybe you're not going to be kind to everyone in a certain way, right? But there are moments when you can choose to be kind that it doesn't cost you anything, and it is net positive. It is something that you gain. All right, my friends. So let me name the 10 things again. This might be an episode that you want to go back and listen to again and again, write down some ideas. But here we are. Number 1, take breaks. Number 2, focus on the fundamentals, by which I mean sleep, hunger, hydration. Number 3, connect with loved ones. Number 4, actively seek fun or delight. Number 5, sit in your value. Number 6, be clear on what your values are, right? So your core values, what are they and how will you hold on to them? Number 7, find safe spaces to be in. Number 8, be kind to yourself. Number 9, pay attention to your battery levels and honor them more aggressively than your default mode. Number 10, be kind to someone else. I hope that you will look at this list. I hope that you will create your own version and flesh it out and keep it someplace where you can refer to it often. You might print it out and put it on the wall. You might keep it on your phone, but have it in a place where you can refer back to it so that as you are in difficulty, you can look at it regularly, that you can intentionally practice some of the items on here for the sole purpose of feeling better, because when we are feeling better and we are taking good care of ourselves, we are better prepared to meet the challenges around us, whether they are inside healthcare or outside healthcare. So I hope that that is helpful. And believe me when I say that I am in it with you and I am actively working on these things, because we are always, always, always learning and growing and a work in progress. My friends, I want to say it one more time as well. If you are a woman physician and you are saying to yourself, oh, I need more of these things. I need some help in figuring out what these things are and how to put them in my life. I need a safe space. I want to be a part of that community. I want you to go right over to your phone, right over to your computer, and check out Unbound, Women Physicians Reclaiming Their Lives. This is my signature program for women physicians, runs for 12 weeks at a time, and the next round starts on Sunday, March 2nd. We meet weekly. We meet in community and talk through different elements that are so critical here. We talk about letting go of people pleasing, letting go of perfectionism, learning how to set and maintain boundaries, right? All of these key components that really actively help us to work against the burnout that we experience in working in a broken healthcare system. This program has been changing the lives of the women physicians who are in it. It is changing my life all the time because I'm so excited and engaged with the work that we are doing together. Come join us. If you have questions about the program, you can send me a message at megan@healthierforgood.com. That will be in the show notes, or you can head right over to my website, which is www.healthierforgood.com. We'll also have links to the program in the show notes. My friends, as always, I am so grateful that you are here listening to me. I hope to meet you. I hope that you will join us in Unbound, Women Physicians Reclaiming Their Lives, again, starting Sunday, March 2nd. Until next week, take good care of yourselves.